Okay. Well, I'm going to call to order the City of San Ramon Policy Committee meeting for January 26. Let's see, would you please call the roll? Who are we doing? Is that Karen or is that Joan?
It is I will do that. And prior
Thank you.
to calling the roll, if the chair could recognize me.
Yeah, we will recognize Karen McHenry Smith, the recording secretary and executive assistant.
Thank you, Chair Perkins. The procedures adopted for this meeting meet or exceed the standards set forth in Assembly Bill 361, which allows public meetings like this one to be held by teleconference to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. At this time, I will conduct roll call and would ask the chair to recognize me afterwards to confirm certain matters for the record. Chair Scott Perkins.
Here.
Vice Chair, Councilmember Mark Armstrong.
Here.
Thank you. Based on the responses to roll call, the record should reflect that all committee members can hear the proceedings clearly. If there are no objections, the record will further reflect that each committee member believes, based on voice or facial recognition or otherwise, that the persons representing themselves as council members are in fact council members. Seeing no objection, I will turn the meeting back over to the chair with a reminder that all votes must be taken by roll call.
Okay. Well, with that, we are now on to item 2. At this time, members of the public are encouraged to address the, let's see, is this? Yeah, okay. Are encouraged to address the policy committee on any item not already included in tonight's agenda. Members of the public who are participating via Zoom will have the opportunity to make comments to policy committee live through the Zoom application. Comments should not exceed 3 minutes. No committee action can be taken at this time on issues raised during public comment, whether submitted by email or Zoom. To comment, please click raise your hand button or *9 on your phone to request to speak. When it's your turn, you will be unmuted to make your comment up to 3 minutes. After the allotted time, you will then be remuted. Written comments submitted were provided to the committee prior to the start of this meeting and are made part of the public record. Written public comment will no longer be read aloud during the meeting. So, oh, wow, look at this. We have lots of things. So we will start with, let's see, Agamarup Kaur. Can you please admit him for 3 minutes? I turned to the side because I'm making notes on a notebook that's off to my right. So if it looks like I'm turning away and not paying attention, that's not true. I'm just making notes.
Hello, my name is Agamarup Kaur. I'm a resident of San Ramon and a senior at Doherty Valley High School. I come before you today to urge you to follow our neighboring cities in adopting a comprehensive tobacco retail license to eliminate the sale of all flavored tobacco products in San Ramon. This is because for far too long, big tobacco has been allowed to target youth like me. Over my 4 years at Doherty Valley High School, I have firsthand smelt the notoriously delicious scent of these products in school bathrooms. I've seen students in middle school and high school so addicted to tobacco products that they must vape into their backpacks in class and even exchange e-cigarettes during lessons. In fact, just this morning, as I turned into school, in the rearview mirror, I saw my peers vaping in the car behind me. The reality is, as long as e-cigarettes and other tobacco products are easily available in San Ramon, youth will continue using and will continue facing the targeting of big tobacco. Local San Ramon data supports this. 1 out of 3 SRV USD 11th graders have used a vape before, and 77% believe that it's easy to obtain an e-cigarette. As we face a pandemic, youth are now even more vulnerable to the harms of tobacco products. In the midst of stress and uncertainty, tobacco and vape products are marketed as a calming device or an out. Yet the reality lies that with each puff, youth are more likely to contract COVID and have more severe symptoms. Council members, you have the ability to uphold the values of youth health over the profits of big tobacco. As we now resettle into an in-person learning and take steps to mitigate the risk of the pandemic, the time is even more critical. And so I urge you to take prompt action in combating our city's vaping epidemic and protecting youth by eliminating the sale of all flavored tobacco products in San Ramon. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Brian Davis.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Davis, and I'm a member of the Contra Costa County Tobacco Prevention Coalition. Are you aware that cigarillos are the second most popular tobacco product among underage youth in California, and that they are often used by high school age youth as wraps for marijuana, exposing kids to marijuana and nicotine at the same time? Did you know that these cigarillos are easily available in stores everywhere in packs of up to 6 for 99 cents or less? There are many local communities, such as Pleasanton, that have adopted strong, comprehensive tobacco retail licenses to help protect their youth from tobacco addiction. Some of the best practices included in these policies are regular store inspections and youth decoy operations, stopping the sale, as was said by the last speaker, of electronic cigarettes and all flavored tobacco products, including hookah, as well as defeating big tobacco's discount pricing schemes like these 99-cent cigarillos that make tobacco extremely affordable and accessible to youth by requiring a minimum price of $8 to $10 for cigars and cigarettes and not allowing the redemption of tobacco coupons. And yes, teens can get these products. There are stores in every community that sell to kids, but research shows that cities that adopt comprehensive tobacco retail licenses see dramatic reductions in illegal sales. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Amaya Wooding.
That's me. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Amaya Wooding, and I co-chair the Alameda County Tobacco Control Coalition. I'm here to support the youth commenters today and provide a regional perspective from your neighbors to the south by letting you know that the Alameda County portions of the Tri-Valley have policies that comprehensively address flavored tobacco and e-cigarettes. Dublin, Pleasanton, Livermore, and unincorporated Alameda County have recognized that any tobacco use by young people is a health risk, whether it's e-cigarettes, hookah, cigarillos, chew, or plain old combustible cigarettes. These 4 jurisdictions that I mentioned have ended the sale of all flavored tobacco products as well as e-cigarettes because they know that the flavors and sleek devices are overwhelmingly what appeal to kids. I also want to point out that unincorporated Contra Costa County has also stopped the sale of all flavored tobacco products and e-cigarettes with that exception. And there is, like Brian before me said, another tobacco industry strategy that gets much less press, and that's the targeting of low-income people with cheap tobacco products. From the industry's perspective, of course, kids are also low income, which is why the big tobacco companies spend billions of dollars a year, with a B, to keep prices low. Maybe you've seen 5 for 99 cent cigarillos in stores. That's an industry tactic. In response to this, Pleasanton and unincorporated Alameda County have protected youth from cheap tobacco by setting a minimum price at which cigarillos and cigarettes must be sold, as well as stopping the redemption of discounts and coupons for tobacco. So I hope this provides you with some food for thought. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have now phone number ending in 8718.
Yes, hello there. Hey, this is Jody Culver, and I have sent a couple of letters regarding this larger building that Lennar has just built above Bollinger Canyon Road, facing Castro Valley. So it's the southwest side of the Freer project. At any rate, so I so concerned. I have been involved with this for a long time, and I tried to get southwest elevations, and I was never able to get southwest elevations. So this last building, I was just horrified. So, okay, so I was spoken to Lennar, and they actually are willing to change that color, the charcoal gray color, to more of a sandstone color, which is what they used on the opposite side, the north facing side. So that would at least be a step. I actually think it's a federal style building, which is insane to me. as an architect buff, that's what the White House is a federal style building. So common in the north and southeast, but not in California. No place on the rugged hills in California. It's absolutely an outrageous style. So I would like to see modifications to that building. And like I said, we actually have a developer that's open to making changes. So I think we're running out of time though. And Jay Winsler is the project developer for that project. Jay Winsler, and he wants to hear from the city. If the city is open to making changes, they will work on it. So so that is my spiel. I would like to speak to a council member or to the mayor, whoever, who would be willing to, get these changes underway. So at any rate, and that is it. This is my cell number, and you should maybe have it. It's 510-305-8718. Jay Winsler's number at Lennar, or his cell number that he uses, is probably the best number, 925-548-3891. And that is it. So I do hope to hear from somebody in the city soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, Aisha Sarkar.
Hi, my name is Isha Sarkar, and I'm a senior at Doherty Valley High School. There are two particular experiences with vapes that stand out in my mind. My first experience with e-cigarettes was in middle school. One day, someone I considered an older sister came to my house and asked me to go for a walk. The second we left the house, she pulled out her vape. She became so desperate for a hit that she dragged out a middle schooler with her just so she could get her fix. My second experience with e-cigarettes was my sophomore year of high school. By this point, I had already told myself that I would never take any drugs or cigarettes. That was all in my favor until I was with another close friend who I looked up to. We were driving together when suddenly she pulled out a vape. I didn't give it much thought, but she constantly pried about my so-called drug history. Finally, when she found out that I had never taken anything, she asked me if I wanted to try hers. Being in a car full of college students and not wanting to say no so I don't get alienated, I told her that maybe later. I assume she took that as a yes, because later she dragged me to the side and without any context, grabbed my arm and stuffed a vape into my mouth without my consent. Every one of these close experiences has been with the older friend who, even as an underage individual, got access to e-cigarettes and became quickly addicted. Seeing my role models become addicted to flavored tobacco, claiming that it's not that bad and that it's better than other substances, has led me to question my personal ban on drugs. Thankfully, no matter how many times I've needed an easy distraction, I've never gone down that path as I understand the risks and had a support system to ensure that I was okay. But not everyone is as lucky as I am. By the time my friends turned 21, they were addicted to flavored tobacco, and I am currently alienated from them because they have turned into different people. E-cigarettes are only harmful and extremely easy to obtain here in San Ramon. The amount of times I've been told to just go to that corner store and you can get it easy has been remarkable, and we must do what we can to prevent our youth from the beginning of this deadly addiction, which means following other cities' paths and updating our TRL law to account for these gaps that greatly damage the lives of our youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jen.
Good afternoon, council members and policy committee members. My name is Jen Gran-Lajano with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. In my role as Government Relations Director for Northern California, I specialize in flavored tobacco policy at the local level, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today. In 2018, Councilmember Perkins first brought to council the idea to end the sale of all flavored tobacco products in San Ramon, and I'd like to thank him for his leadership. It didn't get traction then, but now we have over 117 jurisdictions in California with policies like this, including Contra Costa County, Lafayette, Richmond, San Pablo, Walnut Creek, and then neighboring communities of Alameda County, and Dublin and Pleasanton, and many more, who have paved the way with this kind of policy. And now we have local San Ramon youth, like you've just heard, who are seeing firsthand the devastation of flavored tobacco in their schools and in their friend groups, and are advocating to make a change for their community. We support them wholeheartedly and offer TA to city staff to consider policy options that would work best to protect youth from big tobacco, which is targeting them with deadly cancer-causing products in fruit, minty, and candy flavors. The County Tobacco Prevention Program Director, Myra Lopez, is also available to provide TA and share experience from unincorporated county where this policy is already being implemented. I'll leave you with the fact that 90% of adult smokers start in their teens. So this is not an issue of adult choice. This is pediatric addiction that leads to a lifetime of disease. And so we look forward to working with you on this important health issue and ask you to consider a tobacco retailer licensing policy to end the sale of all flavored tobacco products in San Ramon. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose.
Councilmember Perkins and members of the policy committee, thank you for the time. My name is Jose Ramos. I am a San Ramon resident and a member of the board of directors of the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. Back in 2018, I had the opportunity to address the city council on the topic of the tobacco retail license because it was an important issue then. And as you've heard with the commentary tonight, it continues to be an important issue in our community. Just want to go out and say that I'm supportive of AGAM's efforts to end the sale of flavored tobacco products in our community. While cigarette smoking among youth has declined, the use of e-cigarettes and hookah has increased. As you heard earlier, most youth who report using tobacco say they began by using a flavored product. And these flavored tobacco products are available in thousands of flavors. They're often marketed with names like Jolly Rancher, Sour Patch, Gummy Bear, or Cotton Candy. Even the packaging is designed to look like these popular candies whose names these products have stolen. It's really clear that these products are being targeted at kids. The U.S. Surgeon General reported that tobacco industry documents stated that sweeter flavors are for younger smokers, beginning cigarette smokers, and teenagers. Another industry document stated that while different cigars target a variety of markets, all flavored tobacco products tend to appeal primarily to younger consumers. Menthol is derived from mint, and in addition to the fresh odor and the mint flavor, it has a numbing effect that masks the harshness of tobacco and allows the user to inhale smoke more deeply into their lungs. And among all smokers, menthol cigarettes are most popular among 12 to 17-year-olds. While cigarette smoking again has declined, menthol cigarette sales have increased, especially among young people and new smokers. Communities of color and the LGBT population have been targeted by predatory marketing practices for menthol and consequently use these products at higher rates. And these are populations who already suffer a very large burden of health disparities. Even infrequent smoking by adolescents has been shown to increase the likelihood that they'll become a regular smoker. Those who oppose these policies often cite adult choice, and yet, as you heard Jen say, for the 95% of tobacco users who became addicted, they did that before age 21. Smokers, not a choice anymore, it's an addiction. And when you surveyed the youth smokers, they believe that e-cigarettes are not harmful. While they might be safer than combustible tobacco, e-cigarettes are not safe. They contain toxins, including metals unique to the delivery system, and they still contain nicotine, which is highly addictive. We should note that e-cigarettes are not a proven cessation device, and they are not regulated that way by the FDA. So we should be doing everything we can to prevent our youth from beginning this deadly addiction, supporting the efforts of those who are trying to quit. As Jen mentioned, ACS CAN staff can work with the city to find policy language that aligns with best practices in this area and meets their needs. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Jose. Let's see, Varshina.
Dear all, my name is Varshini Vijay, and I am happy to be here, providing a youth perspective on the impact of circulation of flavored tobacco in San Ramon and expanding the epidemic of tobacco to other Bay Area cities. I believe that San Ramon should do its part in protecting youth's health by instating a total ban on the sale of flavored tobacco products with no exemptions. As students in one of the most competitive regions in the United States, while we face an unprecedented amount of pressure, our teenage brains are unequipped with handling stress. My friend was in a similar situation, faced with extreme academic pressure, especially in an Asian BIPOC household. Asian communities are especially targeted with regards to tobacco, and thus the inviting scents of flavored tobacco tempted her immensely. Desperate and hopeless, she decided to take drastic action. My friend almost fell prey to flavored tobacco. She got into contact with a San Ramon student who said they would teach her how to vape. It was a scary time as I got into contact with her parents and convinced her out of ruining her life. Youth use what is accessible to them. San Ramon needs to close the gap of availability to protect its own residents, but also to not be an island of access to other neighboring youth. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to speak under public comment? If not, we will close public comment. Let you know that I do support the imposition of restrictions on sale of tobacco and vaping products to our youth, and I hope to pursue restrictions going forward while working with staff and our legal counsel to draft appropriate measures for the council, for the policy committee to review and hopefully the council to accept. And that's where we'll go for that. Let's see, the next is approval of minutes. We have 4 minutes, 2 regular and 2 special meetings, and I was present at none of them. I reviewed them. And I just want to confirm that in the absence of the former member of the policy committee, can we approve these minutes so that they can be archived as approved?
Chair Perkins, yes, you can. You did not have to be in attendance to approve the minutes.
Okay, Mr. Armstrong, anything you want to?
No, I was present for all of them. I'll move items 4.1 through 4.4.
Excellent, and I will concur. And do we need to vote on that? Okay, let's vote.
Yes, we will need to do a roll call vote. We have before you 4 sets of minutes, and the motion was made to approve item 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4. Councilmember Perkins?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair Perkins. Vice Chair Armstrong?
Yes.
So
Good. All right. Let's move on. Unfinished business. We have none. New business. Discussion of incorporating sponsor logos on the San Ramon Trail signage. Smart Outdoor Inc. So let's see. I'm sure we have a staff report from Kathy Hyman and Keith. So take it away, Kathy and Keith.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And everybody should be able to see the screen or the presentation at this time. So I just wanted to start by thanking you for your time and allowing me to present on this topic today. I will be providing the policy committee with information regarding an opportunity the city has to partner with a company called Smart Outdoor Inc. That identifies sponsorships to replace and enhance agencies' existing trail signage. The goal today is to present an overview of what a partnership with Smart Outdoor may look like and receive the committee's feedback on incorporating sponsor logos and information on San Ramon Trail System signage. Sorry. There we go. As you may know, our current trail system has approximately 50 miles, which includes mileage of trails from East Bay Regional Parks. Our standard signage includes trail rules and trail markers. And together, the public services and public works staff collaborates to identify trail signage that needs maintenance or replacement. Here is samples of our existing signage. On your left is our current standard rule sign on a standard metal pole. To the right are trail markers. The one on the left is made of a composite material with yellow lettering. The one on the right is a natural wood post with white lettering. And you may be wondering why we have 2 different types of trail posts, and the type of trail post is determined by the developer who has installed them. So as to date, the city has no standardized specs that tells developers what needs to go into the ground. And as you know, to maintain and replace existing signage, let alone upgrade an entire trail system, can come with a substantial price tag. And this is where I'd like to introduce Smart Outdoor, Inc. The company's mission is to renew and refresh trail systems in a way that promotes smart and safe recreational enjoyment for all users at no cost to the partner agency. And they do this in two significant ways. First, with the installation of smart, sustainable safety signs and trail markers. And the second, through hosting a mobile application with information that's on it provided by city staff. Here are examples of smart outdoor signage. To your left, you see the Trailhead rule sign that incorporates rules. It has a map of the trail that you're on or the surrounding area, as well as contact information for the agency. The city staff would help Smart Outdoor determine what information goes on the sign, as well as the overall look of the sign as far as colors and the type of lettering and things like that. In the middle of your screen, you see trail markers that incorporate 911 information so that if a resident did have to call, the emergency responders would know the person's location, as well as a QR code that you see there that links to the mobile application, which then is the third prong of their program, which finally is the mobile application, which is a wayfinding app with safety information that's contained in it, as well as other information such as weather, local events, and any other information that city staff wants Smart Outdoor to put into the mobile app. And so this is the exciting part here. So once a contract between the city and Smart Outdoor is established, they, in conjunction with Liquid Outdoor, who is a national media and tech company, who is already operating in San Ramon in conjunction with the city center, we would all work together with the city staff to determine appropriate types of sponsors. And then they would secure the sponsors to fund the entire project. And that means sponsorships would fund the design of the signs, the fabrication, the installation, as well as the ongoing maintenance, as well as daily maintenance if that was necessary. In addition, there is potential for the city to receive a 20 to 30% of the overall net profit of the generated sponsors. And so with any type of sponsorship, there's obviously recognition of the company or business. And so on your screen, you see the various ways that Smart Outdoor honors those businesses. To your right are the Trailhead Signs that have roughly a 20 to 30% of the total sign dedicated to no more than two sponsors, one on each side. So if you look at the bottom of those rule signs, you see Club Fit on one and you see Northwell Health on the other. The signs range between 20 and 30 inches wide, and then approximately an 8-inch height is the sponsor information. Whereas on the trail markers on the left side of your screen, you see a 4-inch by 4-inch sponsor logo on a 6 by 6-inch post is essentially what it is. And so in comparison, the Smart Outdoor version of a sponsorship program of upgrading signage compared to an in-house program, what those might look like. And this is this is a high level summary of the two different types of programs that we could potentially consider. Smart Outdoor secures sponsorship funding. They fund all the design, fabrication, installation, as well as all maintenance. The cities, once installed, become City of San Ramon property. The city realizes no general fund or CIP expenditures through this type of partnership. And the city has the potential to realize between 20 and 30% of revenue sharing of the overall net profit. And in this case, the sponsor is recognized on the signs and trail markers. In comparison, if we elected not to go that route, but we wanted to try to do this in-house, the city staff secures the sponsorship funding. The city funds all design, fabrication, installation. We have a contractor or city staff manage the project. The city maintains all signage, so by our full-time staff, and the sponsors still get the recognition, so they deserve. And so as I wrap up today's presentation, summarizing the issue at hand, there are clearly some benefits to the city partnering with Smart Outdoor. However, the real point of discussion today is if the monetizing of the trail signage and incorporating sponsor logos on the signs and trail markers is appropriate. And so that is where staff is requesting feedback from the committee today. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or take your feedback.
Start with you, Mark. What you got?
Sure, thank you. Well, I like this. We previously talked about opportunities for sponsorships at some of the park facilities. So I see this as kind of a step in that direction. So I'm in general supportive of using Smart Outdoor and projects like this. I think we've had a lot of increase in outdoor activities, throughout the pandemic. So I think, people are getting out there. We do have features out there, but you're right. Some of them are not standardized. I've seen them even on Iron Horse Trail. Boy Scouts have put signs in and they get faded and outdated, and there's no real maintenance on those. I do like the way that our master plan talks about this. I think it's consistent with the master plan. I remembered something about it. I went back and looked, and there's some stuff in there about improving the signage, part of that whole interconnected opportunity, and that whole trail network connectivity. So I think that it ties in. It's good for safety and just good communication. Community surveys seem to think that this is an important thing for the city to have. I see this as kind of a quick win if we move forward with this. But I agree, if we're going to do signage, it shouldn't be haphazard. It should be consistent, should be standardized, should look good. But I do think that there still ought to be some type of overall kind of master plan for signage. This is good for the trails, but I know there was something in there about working on an overall master plan for bicycles and other things. So I hope we don't just kind of take a quick win on this and then forget the broader master plan on signage. But I think this is a step in the right direction. I did have an initial concern about the funding, but as I read through the packet, as you briefed it, Keith, I think, the fact that we won't have to go into the general fund, potentially even gain some revenue out of this, I think that's good. So frankly, the way I see it, I think there was an estimate for something like for signage, like $1,500 per sign or something. This is potentially even, it's not a money maker per se, but it's a definite cost savings in the long run if we do go forward with sponsorships. And frankly, the money that we save on doing it ourselves can then go towards other services or other park amenities and offerings. So I like it. I guess one question I might have is, after the 5-year contract, the way I'm seeing it, what if we don't renew the contract? And then what's the plan for the city in terms of either going out and maintaining sponsors or continuing the maintenance on what's been installed?
So like I said, the signs upon installation become city property. At the end of the 5-year contract, if we decided not to re-up, then their maintenance part of that agreement would go away, and all ownership, maintenance of it then falls on us. The sponsorship signs on the rural signs, the bottom portion, it's in two pieces, so it can be changed in and out. So if we wanted to, we could take that on ourselves and look for the sponsors at that point and change it in and out. The trail marker posts are more of a decal, so that as the years go by, whether it's year 2, year 3, Smart Outdoor can change the decal and the sponsor logos as well. So they are made to be changed as sponsors change. And so if the contract ran out, we didn't renew, we could definitely take a look at doing the sponsorship in-house at that point.
Yeah, and so it sounds like there's like a refresh program as part of the contract. Do they do that sort of on demand when somebody identifies something, or are they periodically, would they under the contract go out and do their own survey and check them and then make the adjustments on their own?
So they pretty much do everything on their own. Obviously, if we or a resident sees a problem, we can contact them, and then we would build into the contract the response time to fix, replace, anything like that. As far as, sorry, Mark, can you repeat your actual question?
No, I think you answered it. I mean, it was about refreshing it, and they're going to take care of that, and they're going to inspect it and do all that, right?
Right. They will definitely keep an eye on the signs. They will take inspect them as well. But as sponsorships run out, so they may sign one company to a 5-year deal. They may sign someone to a 4, 3, 2, a 1-year deal. So as those run out, those logos would come down, and then they would be looking to obviously find new sponsorships to put on. So they will be constantly looking at them, working with city staff on the sponsorship aspect of it as well.
Okay, thank you. I guess the only other thing I'd say, just kind of bottom line, I would be supportive of sponsorship for this, for these trail signs, and if Smart Outdoor is the right outfit to go with, I'm good with that too.
Okay, let's see, I had some questions. How does this affect our agreement with Easy to Hike?
So it's independent, and
because there's a mobile app for both.
Correct. So realistically, depending on there is some thought as having the two systems coincide would be fine. Smart Outdoor does not necessarily have the same 911 function as Smart Outdoors will have. But ultimately, if their wayfinding portion of their mobile application works just as well as Smart Outdoor, the city could definitely take a look at that agreement with Outer Spatial, and we may be able to walk away in the future. I would not advocate that, at least initially, until their mobile application is developed. And
so we're with Outer Spatial now? I just went on to the San Ramon website and I come across Easy to Hike.
So Easy to Hike actually went out of business early in COVID. We will have to look at the web page that you're looking at.
Can you see my web page?
I sure can. And that
City of San Ramon, Easy to Hike. Powered by Easy to Hike.
That is a very old web page.
What can I say? I typed it in and there it is.
Perfect. Sorry, this is a request of mine. Is there any way you can send me that web address, and we
sure.
Sure, that would be amazing.
Okay.
Because I have not seen that in a very long time. So okay. We are no longer with Easy.
Back to my original question then. How does this affect and compete with, in a friendly way, with Outer Spatial and Smart Outdoor? It sounds like we're kind of preempting Outer Spatial.
To some degree, there is potential that the wayfinding mobile application with Smart Outdoor could be such that it is good enough and meets all of our needs as well as the residents' needs to where we would no longer need outer spatial. But we would need to be able to compare the functions of both. The Smart Outdoor app will allow city staff to put local events and be able to do more of our own type of advertising of our city as well. So they definitely have different functions. So we would just need to be able to compare them side by side.
Okay. All right. Second question. If they're going to rebate to us 20-30% of their net profit,
right,
we need a mechanism for auditing their accounts so that because one can change net profit into nearly zero just by adding expenses that are more or less vapor.
Correct.
I'd be concerned that they're, this is a classic case of, I trust you, but I'm going to still cut the cards.
Correct.
Okay.
And so it is in the scope of the contract, and it outlines specifically what that 20-30% is, and that it is, I guess it's balanced out at the end of each quarter, so that they would be sharing sponsorship dollars coming in as well as their expenses that are paid out of the sponsorships.
Okay. So, like I said,
Mhm.
I trust you, but cut the cards.
Correct.
And the maintenance agreement, same kind of thing. We'd want to have that their maintenance would be that they would have to show that they in fact inspected their signs, I don't know, quarterly, something like that. And they can do that through a series of GPS, somebody's cell phone is tracking their thing on a certain day, and they checked 28 signs on Thursday and they checked 48 signs on Friday and Saturday, something that we can confirm that they in fact are doing the reviews. I also recognize that it's good to have staff and citizens turn in information, but if their agreement says they're going to do maintenance, then they're going to do maintenance. Okay. Okay. Those are my comments.
That was one of the major concerns of our public works department and public services is the maintenance of it and the response time. And so obviously we had a presentation with Smart Outdoor, and that was one of the very first questions that they presented. So that is definitely in the forethought of any type of partnership.
Okay, Joe, you had a comment?
Yes, thank you. I just on the website issue, outer spatial is located on our website. Sometimes what occurs is if you type in easy to hike or something like that, our site has historical news that is archived. And so sometimes if you go straight there, you'll get a website that like easy to hike, like we launched it, I want to say like last May or something. And so in our historical news part of the website, it states, San Ramon launches easy to hike.
What I typed in, I'll tell you what I typed in. San Ramon trail app or hiking app. That's what I typed in, and and that's what shows up. So I didn't specify easy to hike or outer spatial. I just typed in San Ramon trail app.
Yeah, we can certainly look at that. I think that's we need to tighten up the search words on that. I just did the exact same thing, came to outer spatial. It's posted on the city's parks website. However, the easy to hike, when you look at it, shows I looked at where it was and it's in the city's past news archive. So I think it's probably a search function we'll need to tighten up, but we'll be able to get on that.
Can you also, it becomes really cumbersome, I know, to go to every historical thing and say, this is no longer current or something. But
we'll need to do something because we don't want folks to, search for it and find what we did, last summer and have changed. So that's certainly
because all I typed in was San Ramon and trail application or hiking application, and that's what showed up.
Yeah, we definitely need to figure out that. It might be a search function, but we'll have to get IT involved in how to address that, because I'm not sure how we would do that either.
Okay, I'm going to take a public comment now. And so I will offer the public a opportunity to raise their hand or press *9. And if I don't get any response, we're going to, do you have anything else, Mark, you wanted to bring up with that?
No, got nothing
Okay,
else.
I'm ever since Lucky A's Field, when we accepted some money from Lucky and the A's, we've been looking for sponsorships. We've done sponsorships in our community theaters and our community events. I don't see a reason why we should make an exception here. And if there's an opportunity to improve the signage for our residents and get somebody else to pay for it, so long as it's not, that the sponsorship kind of overwhelms the purpose, then that's where we should go. When the sponsorship becomes the item and not the item, we need to just be careful there. That's all I'm cautioning. But let's move forward then. Okay, let's see. Go to the next item. Let's see. I got to scroll down here.
I guess the only thing I'd ask on that is, Keith or Kathy, do you have all the guidance you need or input that you were seeking from us?
I believe so. We were more looking for a general consensus. Do we like the concept? Do we not like the concept? So I think we have exactly what we need right now.
Okay.
Yeah, pay attention to the contract language, but I think that's it's a good path, or can be a good path. All right, thank you very much. Kathy, we're back. You and Mike can talk about the proposed City Hall Rotunda rental program and fee schedule.
Absolutely, and Mike has prepared the staff report, and he is our expert on facilities, so I think he would be the best to go ahead and take you through what he's come up with.
Perfect. Thank you, Kathy. Good evening, City Council Policy Committee staff. My name is Mike Finelli. I'm Recreation Supervisor for Parks and Community Services. Tonight, as Kathy mentioned, I'll be presenting information related to the proposal for the City Hall Rotunda rental program. So in doing so, I will be requesting feedback and direction on whether this committee is in favor of moving this proposed rental program forward. Initially, our staff was assigned the task of researching Bay Area municipalities and recommending rental parameters and a fee schedule for facilitating permit issuance for private events at the City Hall Rotunda. The process included researching like facilities, establishing policies, procedures, defining reservable hours, estimating occupancies, and also proposing a fee schedule. During the research, we've identified both City of San Francisco and the City of San Jose offer private rotunda opportunities for private rentals. The City of San Ramon Rotunda currently posts a standing occupancy of 558 persons. In taking into consideration equipment and furniture, our staff's recommendation is to accept up to 120 guests for private seating events and up to 300 guests for private standing events. It is also recommended that we restrict to predetermined blocks of time to maintain that the normal business hours and functions are not impacted at City Hall. These hours primarily would be 8:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Monday through Friday. The specific 10-hour blocks of time that we are recommending would be Friday from 2 o'clock p.m. till 12 a.m. And I do want to mention that the 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. time would be limited to setup only. Again, on Saturday from 2 o'clock p.m. till 12 o'clock a.m. and on Sunday from 10 o'clock a.m. till 8 o'clock p.m. So after defining the hours, the staff is recommending the following fee schedule. This would be $3,500 per 10 hours of use, and it would require a refundable damage deposit of up to $2,500. In comparing the City of San Francisco and the City of San Jose, the City of San Francisco requires a $10,000 fee per 10 hours and a refundable damage deposit of $5,000. I do want to mention that their occupancy is much greater than what we would offer in San Ramon, as San Francisco offers up to 499 guests. Additionally, the City of San Jose requires a $4,000 fee per 10 hours of use and a refundable damage deposit of $3,000. In comparing their occupancies, they will permit up to 250 seated guests and up to 400 standing guests. So San Ramon, again, would be the lowest occupancy permitted, and therefore that's kind of how we came up with the fee. Based upon, the ratios of people and applicable space. I did want to make the comparison to the grand event room at the San Ramon Community Center, which is the Fountain Room. And that is currently a San Ramon resident rate of $270 per hour. This room specifically can accommodate up to 250 seated guests and up to 400 guests standing. Staff has also made the recommendation that all equipment, furniture, and event services be provided by the rental customer. This would prevent the need for additional storage as well as equipment replacement funds. The rental customers will be required to pay for professional janitorial services following each event, and that cost estimate is $750 per request. Staff is willing to accept and consider any feedback and recommendations of any of the parameters discussed should the determination to be made to move this program forward. If the direction to move this program forward is made this evening, staff will include a staff report as part of the 22-23 fee resolution proposal for adoption of the program on July 1st, 2022. And at this time, I would just like to open things up for questions, comments, and I can take some notes.
Okay, well, we'll start with, Mark, do we want to start with public comment and then we'll go to you and me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, public comment, open. Anybody have any public comment? All right, now we will have the Mark Armstrong.
Appreciate it, Mike. It was a good report. I was not sure what to think of this when I first saw it on the agenda, but as I read through it, it made some good sense to me. I did have a couple questions though. As part of the staff report there, it specifically indicates that that there's a responsibility of a San Ramon resident for other San Ramon facilities. Can non-San Ramon residents rent our other facilities? And would we open this up to non-San Ramon residents and have a similar type policy?
I appreciate you mentioning that. It's something that we discussed prior to formalizing the report. It's one of the main things that we were going back and forth on. So in terms of resident rate versus a non-resident rate, we do offer non-resident rates and resident rates for all of our indoor facility rentals, athletic fields, gymnasiums, et cetera, et cetera. In looking at this opportunity in the Rotunda, we did view that as a possibility of maintaining the advantage to a San Ramon resident or San Ramon business to have exclusive opportunities to do that. What I also wanted to mention is in looking at the other fees that I researched in San Jose and San Francisco, neither entity specified that their rate, that they just basically had one rate. So I kind of followed in suit with that and hoping that this conversation can be had because like I mentioned, our standard fee resolution does address resident fees, non-resident fees as well. So I'd be willing to hear what the committee has to say and kind of utilize that feedback.
If I could just add a little bit more for Councilmember Armstrong, I think the perspective, to give perspective, is this facility obviously back and it's relatively new, the building, right? And so the previous council was not real sure they wanted to even open this up, and actually they wanted to give it for the public use because of it was new and we were settling in, and they weren't sure if they really wanted to push it out on as a rental at this point. Now we're a few years in, and so we're viewing this still from a perspective that it's City Hall, and do you want, first of all, to offer your City Hall up? It's not like other facilities, right? It's kind of a unique facility. And is this something that you want to offer up to non-residents, or do you prefer that if we still even offer it up at all, would that be only to residents for specific occasions? Because the Rotunda and that is a little bit more unique than all of our other facilities.
Yeah, well, I do think it's unique, and I think it's a special place. And we do have community centers and other locations to do a lot of the different types of receptions and special events that people like to do. I kind of see it as the people's house, if you will, and to some extent. But I also, this kind of leads me to really my next question, which is more about kind of on if there's a current policy on the types of use for our other rental facilities. And because I can see higher end ceremonies and receptions and things like that, but is there any kind of limitations that we have on decorations, on say outdoor signage, noise, parking, crowd control? I just wrote a couple things down here, or other prohibited activities that won't necessarily reflect our city values, or kind of provided that statement that we're a city, we're a place for everybody.
Good question. Thank you. Yes, our indoor reservation program has a very in-depth checklist, guide, and policies and procedures in terms of lots of the things that you mentioned: signage, indoor and outdoor joint use, amplified sound. All of these items are all addressed during that rental process with the customer and staff. In terms of the events that we would expect to happen in City Hall, we would follow the same type of protocols as well. However, I believe that the policies and procedures would need to be tightened up specific for this facility. They would not roll over to the policies that we've adopted to the community centers. So that's one of the items that, should this move forward, that would be the next layer of task work for staff to really dig in and see what types of events, what those restrictions would be. Identifying the occupancy was the first point at that point. And then from there, I think it's really determining the do's and don'ts. And a lot of those can be answered and by other cities' use of what they permit and what their rules and regulations are as well. So there definitely is a plan in place should this continue to move forward to address a lot of those items.
Okay, thank you. And that you led right into really what was going to be my next question, which was, there's there's sort of the steps following approval of preparing policy documents. Does that mean once you do all that additional background work, does this come back to policy committee, or is it just at the appropriate time? If this goes forward to council and the council green lights it, then you just implement that policy. We got to go through the whole fee schedule business. That's a separate issue, but or does that policy on usage for this special place come back to policy committee?
I am not certain on that, and maybe Kathy may be able to assist with that one.
Yeah, I think if we can get some direction today in regards to, do we want to do this? That's kind of the base question. Then, as you know, the fee reso process needs to go on its way, so that would go. But certainly, we could bring the policies for what we would do there back. And just putting the fee in doesn't set us up to rent at that point. It just allows us to have a fee should we decide finally through the policy that we do want to rent it. And I think ultimately we can put those structures around it to say what kind of rental we would allow in there and what we wouldn't. We can tighten it even further and be more specific. So I think it's also a good answer that we need is, are you open to non-residents, or would you prefer this to be resident only? That would be another helpful piece for us.
Yeah. Yeah, for me personally, I just see this as a special place. And so I'd probably be a resident only, but I also know that groups can work that to their advantage too, and have somebody within their group who's a resident make the reservation, sign the contract, and do all that other business. So I don't know how we really define for residents use only. But that would be kind of where I would go with it, as opposed to other opportunities we have throughout the city. From what I'm hearing, that non-residents can also use our city's facilities when requested.
Right. To address that point in terms of somebody maybe signing or going through the policies and procedures and booking the event. We do require in our community centers, gyms, everywhere where we issue use agreements, that individual is present during the event for a pre and a post event sign in and out, just to kind of, if somebody's willing to jump on the grenade, so to speak, they need to be there and be present for the entire event, sign in and take all liabilities into consideration. So I just wanted to make a point of that.
Yeah, I just, if we go forward with this, as we go through that policy analysis of, who can use it and for what purposes and that sort of thing. I just want that building to be respected as, as it carries with it a statement of, this is San Ramon. And so what we sponsor in there has the potential of screaming San Ramon, whatever goes in there. And I think that's the risk. That's potentially the payoff. But I just think there's got to be some left and right limits to bound what we can do with that particular facility if we go forward. And that's all I've got for now. I'm at this point generally okay with moving this forward to city council, the full city council, to talk at least about the fee thing, get that in place. We can come back and address the policy stuff later, and perhaps. Back over to you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I'm generally in agreement with what Mark said. I would like to at least start off with San Ramon residents and San Ramon businesses only.
Mm-hmm.
I think that first off, we will learn a lot about how it goes and what's important, and we can manage that element, I think, a lot better. It's never going to be a big money generator, I don't see. Sure, it may generate $10,000, like you say, but $10,000 is nice to have in the budget, but it doesn't make or break this city budget. So it isn't about the money. Couple of things. I assume that this Rotunda rental includes the central hallway downstairs, because that's where the bathrooms are.
Yes, and that was part of the factor taken into consideration with the janitorial services for
Right.
Restoring the restroom.
Right. Okay. So it would include the hallway. It would not include any of the other spaces downstairs. And there was a discussion when we first discussed this that the upstairs, the small conference room that's near the balcony could be used as a dressing room for, the bride and the bride's party. I would not have a problem with that, but that the other rooms are either the big conference room has a big window, which makes it unusable for that purpose, and of course the council rooms wouldn't be suitable either. But you could include that also as a small extra fee, I would think, if necessary. But Joe, do you have any problem with that for that purpose?
No, actually, I think that's a pretty good idea for those events where maybe you do need kind of a separate room. It could be for a wedding, but it could also be just a staging area for supply or something like that. So I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it could be a small breakout room if somebody needed it for that purpose. But, that balcony is really nice and the stairs are really nice. And I could see a bride coming down the stairs to a ceremony. I could see that. So, and that could be suitable for that purpose. All right. Also, I would be a little concerned about the immediate outside and the uses associated with that immediate outside. There's kind of a plaza there, a little bit to the eastern side. There's a big, broad stairs, but there's kind of that plaza area in front of the skating area.
Mm-hmm.
And so one would have to either include it or prohibit it, one or the other. And if you included it, you might want to have an extra charge associated with that. Now, I assume that when we rent out these spaces, I don't know if we go around and take pictures before the rental, but it would seem appropriate to have some kind of pre-inspection with the renter and say, this is what it looks like, and it better look like this when we get it back. And you're going to pay the $750 because the carpet will need to be cleaned and the bathrooms will need to be cleaned. And yes, and we don't tape anything or nail anything to the walls. And okay.
That all of that process is already in place at all of our community centers and facilities, and that's definitely something that we would put first and foremost into this new policy.
So far as the pricing is concerned, you certainly can't go higher than the San Jose and the San Francisco ones, who are bigger than that. And we want to be a little higher than we used for the fountain room and our other big rooms. So picking a price between the fountain room and our other rooms, the Ridgeview room and those, and the San Jose, San Francisco, I think that's where you'll find the sweet spot for this. And if you get 3-4 rentals a year, okay, that's pretty nice. But this is not to generate funds so much as it is to offer an opportunity for residents. And I would think that local businesses, if they had some kind of event they wanted to use there, that would be fine as well.
Certainly.
So far as the fee structure associated with it, I think that you can put that into the fee schedule for the coming year. But I would like to see the policy associated with the structure rental come back to the policy committee. Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Perkins. Maybe one more question here, kind of a comment and a question, and maybe Joe, you might be able to answer this one. And it has to do with a lot of ceremonies request a color guard in attendance, and what would our policy be in terms of allowing functional weapons to be used as part of that color guard, or who would do the checking of those weapons to make sure, from they're safe and secure and that sort of thing in our city hall.
Kathy could probably jump in on this as well. If there is a color or an honor guard, that's generally going to come from I don't know if we have a policy on that yet, even or not, but I would assume that would come from a government entity, either the military or a local government organization. So I'm not sure how we would address that. Generally, we leave it to the like the San Ramon Honor Guard. They are responsible for their own weapons and do the safety procedures amongst themselves. If we have I will be reluctant. I can't even think off the top of my head if there's a non-governmental entity that actually has a functional weapon honor guard. I would be, without being able to come up with one in my head, I would be very reluctant to even allow that as part of it. If it's a police department or a military unit or something like that, that's what they do. I would have no problems with that. So I think we could kind of explore how to write this policy in a way that ensures the proper safety checks are conducted and who needs to certify that they are. I'm sure we could do that in policy. I think it again falls back to if there is a honor guard that's a non-government entity.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would also add that I think what we'll probably see, like you, I can picture the wedding with the person coming down the hall, but I honestly believe that the primary users would probably be some of these more cultural groups who want to have their gathering in that space because of their own civic city pride. So groups like APAPA or some of the other groups that are here in San Ramon, I think that is who we may see occasional use for something that's very special. But certainly our staff work one-on-one with these big kind of special event kind of a thing, or even big weddings, to make sure we fully understand the scope and scale of what they want to do, make sure that it adheres to all of our policies and procedures. And you can write a policy, but you can't write a policy that covers every potential eventuality, which is why communication is sort of key. And we really do work one-on-one and go, okay, well, what you're suggesting is we can't do, but this is what we can. So Mike could weigh in further on that, but that's generally how those work.
Yeah, as Kathy mentioned, you can imagine with the rental program as is at our buildings, the myriad of requests that we receive on a daily basis for can we do this or that or the other. And a lot of times what we try to do is log these requests, research other organizations, other cities, other policies, make best decisions on it. Things that we will approve that may not explicitly be listed in our policy documents, review how it worked, the decision to proceed in the future, things like that. And that's kind of how I envision this program taking off, kind of seeing how the requests come in, what specific uses the community would be willing to do, and then kind of cater our policies around that. Right now, just opening it up, we have a little bit of an idea of what types of uses might happen in there, but I think the more collaboration and communication with the public will kind of help steer that bus a little bit on the do's and don'ts and help form that policy. Obviously, we have the ability to make the decisions at the end of the day on what we want in there and what we don't want in there. But I think until we really start hearing what these uses are, we'll just kind of follow in suit with what we permit at the community centers and tighten it up a little bit in terms of use at the Rotunda for obvious reasons.
I also might add that, again, given the uniqueness that it is City Hall, that this would not be your standard approval. Everything that's going to be done in City Hall will be ultimately approved by me, which I don't usually get real involved with. Mike does a great job, so I don't. But because it's City Hall, there'll be conversations and communication on, is this appropriate for the Rotunda, and there'll be language in there that some language at the discretion of the city manager or something like that, so that if they want to go rent a community center, that's a whole different thing than, as you said, Councilmember Armstrong, that this has other implications, and so we want to make sure that we have it as well defined as possible. But as Kathy says, you can't define everything, so we have to have the ability to have allow for discretion, which would then be the city manager's office, and ultimately, if it just doesn't fit, it could be steered to a community center or some other alternative.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
Do you have what you need from us for now?
I
Kathy
do.
and Michael? Okay, good. So the consensus of the committee is that to proceed, the fee structure can be introduced to the council with the rest of the fee structure, but the policies, this committee wants to review the policies directly related. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think that covers 6.2. We have 7 policy committee comments. The only comment I have is thank you very much for having me as part of this. Mark has been on this committee for about a year. And as such, I think it's most appropriate that Mark be the chair and I be the vice chair for the remainder of this term. Until we've already discussed this briefly with the mayor. He didn't have a problem. He said he didn't care. So do we need to vote on that, or are we just?
That's a very good question, and that might need to be a council vote. I need to talk to Martin about that.
Okay, if tell you what, the committee will vote on it, and if it requires further action,
okay,
you'll let us know.
Sure.
With that in mind, I hereby nominate Councilmember Mark Armstrong to be chair of the policy committee.
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, and we shall have a vote on that.
Chair Perkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Armstrong.
Yes.
Okay, 2-0 vote.
Okay. Any other comments from the policy committee?
I just can't believe you did one meeting and you already ducked out on chairman.
Yeah, how about that? I'm just more seasoned at this than you are.
I'll remember that one.
Yeah. No, I'm chair of the Tri-Valley Transportation Council, and let me tell you, that's an interesting thing, because you've got 2 mayors, 2 county supervisors, and 3 council members as part of that committee, and that can be kind of an interesting collection of people. So, but we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So.
No other comments.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Good to see you.